Hello and welcome back to my channel for the third installment of my garden makeovers. This is going to be the little stretch along the side of our house that's totally random and I don't really understand what the use of it is for. You kind of expect that it might lead around to the front, but it doesn't. There's just a dead end. But anyway, it was kind of not looking its finest, particularly after winter. And so I have tried to make it into something that might be an enjoyable part of our garden to actually be in and use, because it's kind of just been the bit where we've shoved all the toys and bits and pieces for the garden that we don't really want to see. And so now I think it has actually got some purpose. So I'm not really going to chat about it much longer. I'm just going to get into some of the before shots, which aren't particularly nice, but it makes it all the more fun to see the reveal at the end. So here you go. So first up was clearing this area after the weed killer had done its job, and it was essentially a plant graveyard that was left. Here you were witnessing me making the regrettable error of trying to open a gardening bag with gardening gloves on. So I was trying to make sure that I got all of these dead weeds up, which was really satisfying, I have to say, because they're dead. They just come up. They're not clinging to anything. But I don't know, there was something very fulfilling about doing this that I didn't quite expect, aside from all of the creepy crawlies that came out from underneath them. Look at this, mama! Like huge weeds were coming up. Like these were something else. So, along with the other bit of patio, Nick also pressure washed this little bit down here, and whilst there's still some marks here, it does look a lot better, and I'm thinking that I want to have some kind of deck area here, just like a simple sort of click deck thing, not for a lot of it, but just this corner where we might be able to put a table. So yeah, I'm looking into that at the moment and seeing if that's feasible, but that would cover that anyway. So now it was time to do something about those miserable grey stones down either side of this area, and I just thought I will solve the problem with white stones. White stones look fresh and crisp. Kind of looks like I'm adding a different colour stone to an existing white stone here, but actually they just come in the pack a little bit damp and then they dry out a crisp white colour. It's very lovely, but I wasn't going to remove all the grey stones, and I certainly didn't want to pay for the amount of white stones that I would need to properly fill the whole area. So I just did a layer on top. And it's fine. I had to do, a little bit of clever arranging. One thing I would say is definitely don't do it with bare hands. Don't copy me. Don't be a fool. Do it with gardening gloves, because I had to wash my hands 50 times after this because I had that horrible chalky feeling on the end of my fingertips. Oh. Hello, and once again, apologies for the noise. It's just what our garden is like. It's right next to a main road and it's never going to change. But having spent 9 days in a very peaceful country garden where it is just quiet, Nick and I were like, wow, our garden really is loud and not peaceful. But there you go. What are you going to do when you live in the city centre? I mean, it's not really about living in the city centre, because it's just that we're right on the edge of a row of houses next to a very busy road. Anyway, today I'm going to try and tackle those disgusting glass blocks, which just try and get rid of those early 2000s bachelor pad vibes I just intensely dislike them, and I understand why they're here, because they let light in. There is a window right here for the living room, and actually there's another one down the other end which is for the bathroom, the downstairs bathroom. So I get it, but in reality the downstairs bathroom has one of those like slightly fuzzy windows, so you can't see people doing their business, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference anyway. And in the living room we pretty much keep these blinds shut most of the time, just because of where our TV is placed. It actually just means that there's constantly reflections if we want to watch TV, or it just can get quite bright. So I'm thinking it's probably fine. I would prefer to not have these in our life. Well, at least have them concealed. So I've got this, which is like reed fencing, and I'm a bit worried that you'd be able to see loads through, but it will still be better. I'm hoping that I can kind of cover each panel of glass bricks with that. I've got some stuff that will hopefully mean that it works, but to start with I'm going to clean these blocks, which look disgusting, just so at least there's a slightly cleaner surface to apply it to. You know? You know? Well, I'm just cleaning this at the moment.
Please, can I help you?
But why do you need spray, lass? What are you spraying on?
On those.
Okay, just 2 sprays. Okay, thank you.
What?
Thanks, great job. So when Lars eventually let me carry on, you can see here I've taped up the glass blocks and I'm removing the top layer of that transparent double-sided tape, which means that you literally can't see it at all here, and you'll just have to trust me. But I put a line of it along either side of this space where the glass blocks were, so on each panel, either side, along the top, along the bottom, and then a strip in the middle, just so this cane fencing had as much to attach to as possible. And then I just pressed it into place. I kind of made sure that the bottom was lined up, because that was just gonna, mean that everything else went well. And then worked it into the sides and then along the middle, tried to make sure that the cane bits were kind of vertical and not wonky, but it's trickier than it looks. And then when I got to the other end, I cut off where it hit the bricks. So on that edge, obviously there's like wire left, just, hanging out, loose and open. So I twisted those bits of wire together just to seal them off, make sure that, the cane isn't just gonna come out, which it shouldn't because it's attached to tape. But I also did that on the starting edge as well. So everything was kind of sealed and held tightly together and hopefully will last. Very important reed fencing chat. I did on this panel, I did double up because I had extra left over, and I thought, you know what, I'm not just gonna like waste it. So there was enough for me to do this panel double, which again, on camera, it really looks like you can see the glass bricks a lot, but you actually can't in real life. So I thought it'd be nice to have, the bit that's kind of like the peaceful nook to, peaceful I say with like a traffic jam outside, to have it more like shielded from these glass blocks that I do not appreciate. So yeah, I doubled it up, and I have to say, I mean, it's still holding up fine, but obviously like I had to put more tape over the top, so you can probably see where like it's not quite, because it's not a flat surface. When you go over the top, it doesn't stick as well, but it's still, it's still up there. I think it is secure. So just a little shout out to the double-sided clear tape, which I will have linked in the description box below. Thank you and goodbye. Okay, so I'm still working on this bit down the side of the garden, and I had my eye on a bench for a while because I thought we could make it like a little chill out space. And I'm going to try and put some like decking down, but I just thought like a bench along the back might be just a nice way to use it. I was thinking I might be able to fit the table and chairs down there as well, but might make it just feel a little bit cramped. So I found this bench on Facebook Marketplace for £25, and considering it is quite big, I feel like I'm such a broken record. Like, I found this on Facebook Marketplace, but guys, I literally live on Facebook Marketplace. Like, it's almost like a hobby browsing Facebook Marketplace. Even when I don't buy things, I just love finding bargains and thinking how I could like paint it, upcycle it, do whatever. So yeah, we got this, and I'll show you because I think it needs a bit of a sand before I do anything. Here it is in all its glory. I don't think it really translates on camera, but it is like proper solid. Like, it is really heavy, and it's 4 feet, which, like, I'm pretty sure I did measure the gap down the side, and I'm optimistic that it will fit. But I think when I saw it in the flesh, I was like, whoa, okay, it's bigger than I thought. But yeah, so as I said, I think there's just like some bits, because like they just make these themselves, put it together with scrap wood. So there's some bits that I need to sand down before I start painting, like these bits on here, which look a little bit lethal. And then I think I'm going to use up the rest of my Friend Chic, oh look at that, well used, al fresco paint in Dazzle Me White, because I don't really want to have to buy any more paint for this bench. So I'm just kind of like finding what I have left over, and so I was like, white, I do have white. I've got this from the Playhouse, and there's a reasonable amount in there, but if I need more, I also have the white from, so the Lick outdoor white paint, so this, what I use for that. But I'm going to start with this because I can actually open this, whereas the Lick one ended up being like the fence paint that I used, and I didn't clean this bit properly, so it's completely wedged on, and so it will be a nail and a hammer job to create a hole for me to pour it out, which I can definitely do, but I just can't really be bothered to if I don't have to. So I'm going to start with some sanding. Here I'm basically just tying up this weird cord cable thing that I don't really understand what it's for, but anyway, there was just a big loop of it, so I thought I'd make it look a little bit neater and just tie it together with some cord things. You know, I'll link them in the description box. They're not actual cable ties, but they kind of are similar, so I just tied them together, made it look prettier so that I could hide it with a plant. That was my aim. So then I put a nail in the wall, I hung up an artificial plant that was in a wicker little hanging basket that I just thrifted for like £2 or something ridiculous. And then basically tied bits of the hanging leaves onto that weird white wire that I wanted to cover, just to make sure that it really did cover it. And then I added a little extra piece on the end, just with some like gardening wire that was green and kind of blended in, so that all of it was covered and there was just that little line of white down the bottom there. So I've got my wooden floor tiles that click together, which I got off eBay, but you can definitely get them from IKEA. And I've got some faux plants that I need to hang up, some more. I'm figuring that I won't be able to keep hanging baskets alive, so all of these hanging things are all artificial plants. And then yeah, I've got these click tiles, which I just tried out here, and they go together really easily, which is great. So I'm gonna put them in a little rectangle at the back, and then I'm gonna fill the rest of the area with these white stones just to completely hide those horrible grey ones. And yeah, I've got another little faux plant here in a pot just to add some greenery to the area and soften it up a little bit. So you can tell I'm a real pro gardener here, as I'm using my kids' bioplastic shovel to try and even out these stones. Basically, I just wanted to make sure the surface was as even as possible because I was going from patio to stones. So I've laid it all down. It's looking nice, but obviously where it ends, I think you can get bits to kind of finish off the end, but I didn't really want to spend any more money, so I'm literally just cutting these little bits off, using a mixture of these very strong scissors and some wire cutters. Is that what these are? I think so. Well, those. And I'm just going to do all the way along, having done these bits here that are going to sit on stones and have the white stones kind of come up against it. So yeah, there's not really much point in that. But so now I'm literally just going over the panels with this outdoor clear varnish. They are meant to be weatherproof and hard wearing, but they don't feel it. So just to make sure, I'm just going over these just while they're kind of first laid down and the benches and on it and whatnot. And also it would probably be helpful to preempt any kind of damage through winter. So yeah, I'm just giving them a light coat as the sun goes down, because this is what everybody does of an evening, right? And then I might fill in some of these gaps tomorrow with, I don't really know, sand or soil, or I'm not sure. It's not the end of the world. You can't really see it from far away, but we'll see. Well, I don't really know what better way to spend a Friday night than drinking wine and laying the rest of the gravel that needs to go down. I say gravel like white stones. Gravel sounds a little bit like a driveway. Yeah, it's just arrived, so I'm gonna lay it around the decking that I put down whilst Nick finishes dinner. And yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna look really nice, and then I can put the bench there, and then I can see about where to hang the rest of the hanging foliage, because I probably do need to see where the benches in relation to that before doing that, because you don't want leaves all in your hair and stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Cheers, happy Friday night. In order to actually make these little faux foliage planters work, I needed to work out a way to get it to sit inside the hanging basket and kind of stay put. So I basically just used some more gardening wire, as you can see, and I wrapped it around the little bottom piece to make sure that it was secure, and then kind of bended the bottom bit as well, because the actual greenery needed to sit a little bit lower inside the rope basket. So then once I'd got it nice and secure and attached, then I realised I needed to cut the plastic lining on the inside of this little rope basket, because clearly this was designed for people who can grow plants themselves. So I just snipped a little hole in the bottom so that I could get to the rope, and then like magic, I threaded through the wire and then get it out the other side. So both bits of wire I did that with, and then I threaded it back through and then did a little tie, and there you go, it's fixed and stable. And just to make sure it was going to stay put even more, and also to give it a little bit of weight to hang, I just put some dirt from our garden in the bottom, again with my very professional shovel. I just wanted to show you these as well. I picked these up from Facebook Marketplace for £5 each. Little pots of lavender, came in the pot and everything, all freshly watered, and she told me that lavender was great because it's almost drought proof. And I was like, wow, that's my kind of plants. And then Nick helped me put up these brackets for the hanging baskets, and it was a bit of a struggle to get them into the concrete. I didn't take too much footage because I feel like Nick was a bit stressed out and we were on a brink of a DIY argument, which is fairly common for us. And then I also hung up this solar powered light. We basically just clicked the panel onto the gutter and then threaded the wiring across, and then used one of these black screws to hold it in place on the other side, and then threaded it back across and used some of that clear fishing wire and some electrical tape just to cover it up and hold it in place. So I am at the point of finishing touches, styling details, which is like obviously my favourite part. I mean, it might not be obvious, but it's my favourite part. But yes, things that you don't see, which might be slightly enlightening. So I'm not particularly anal about keeping my house like really particular and like having things in all their set places all the time and like making sure that there's no mess anywhere in normal day-to-day life. Or I'd say I'm like fairly relaxed on that front. But when it comes to shooting, like styling and shooting things for interior content of whatever kind, I am like super perfectionist, to the point where if the camera had been rolling a few minutes before this, you would have seen me take a Hoover outside. I mean, God bless the handheld cordless Hoover. It's just honestly life-changing. But I guess that most people don't vacuum outside. Like, that's not normal, is it? But I decided that where all the white stones had kind of shed some of their coating onto the pavement and like made little white marks, I needed to hoover the dust away before I got my camera out. I just thought I'd like let you into a little behind the scenes of the madness of styling and shooting interior and exterior content, because clearly we're outside right now. So there you have it. I think you would agree that it is a lot better than it was before. It actually kind of looks a little bit like it might be in a different country, like a sort of holiday feeling. It might be somewhere nice and warm, which I mean could definitely be the UK this year, but somewhere chilled and relaxing, which hopefully detracts from the sound of the main road next door to it. It is not a quiet and peaceful garden, I have to say, but there isn't really anything that we can do about that. So
at least the space is nice, and actually I've enjoyed sitting in that little nook with my headphones on, just, you know, having a listen to something and a read of something, and it just takes you away to another place. More than anything, I am so glad that those glass blocks are covered, because they were not to my taste. And who knows, maybe one day they'll come back into fashion and I'll be like, oh man, we need to get all of those reed coverings off because the glass blocks are so cool. But I don't sense that that will happen. So we will see how those coverings hold up. I mean, I'm quite impressed with the tape that I've used so far. Surprisingly, it's very durable, but also we haven't had like tons of rain. So I will see how they get along and, you know, whether we need to rethink how they're attached. So that concludes my little series on garden makeovers. Now in time for autumn. But, you know, maybe you've got some inspiration and maybe it's something that you're thinking about doing for like next spring so that it can be ready for summer. I would just say anticipate that it's going to take a lot longer than you would imagine if you're doing it yourself. So if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up, that would be great, and do leave a little comment down below. I would love to know how you feel about the glass bricks, because when I mentioned this on Instagram a number of times, it has divided opinions. There are definitely people out there that love those glass blocks, and I'm kind of envious that we've got them as part of a wall in our garden, which I personally can't understand. But if you feel the same, quite passionately about it, let me know, and let me know like why and how you would use them as a feature, because I'm interested. You know, we've all got different tastes. And if you're enjoying my videos, I would love it if you subscribed and joined the journey that I'm going on to overhaul this whole rented home, which is, you know, taking me a lot longer than I thought it would, but such is everything in life, right? If you'd like to stay in the loop about more day-to-day stuff, behind the scenes things, often I ask for your help on like decisions with colours or like where to place things on Instagram, then do follow me at the Lovely Drawer. Very simple. It'd be great to have you over there as well. So until the next time, I have no idea what that video is right now, but until the next one, I will see you soon. Bye.